You ever had one of them days where you just wake up and be like, man, this about to be a shitty day? Today ain't the day. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's the Mitchell Ty Prim, whatever you want to call me. It's cool Monday morning. You know, I'm on my way to the job, whatever. But I feel like I want to drop a quick video, a quick story. Something that happened to me maybe, I don't know how long ago. About 10 years ago. Let's just say it involves me driving. So, hence why I'm in the car. So anyway, about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago, I was going to pick up one of my little female friends. We're headed to this little party and whatever. She lived about 30 minutes where I live. And so I leave to go get her or whatever. It was early, maybe like around 8, 9 o'clock. She was still in high school. She was a senior. I was out of school at the time. I had this nice little 92 or 93 Camaro with the T-top to its burgundy. I thought I was shit right around town. I kept it clean though. I kept it clean. Had a nice alloy rims on them. So you know, back at that time I lived in Maryland, and she lived in Delaware. So you know, I make my way to go pick her up, and so I go get her. It was like her homecoming night or some shit. And so, like, I picked her up from the school, and we're gonna go back to Salisbury and go party and shit. So I pick her up. She's already fucking wasted. It's early. This girl's like, she's like a functioning wasted person. And so we're driving, and she has 2 bottles of Bacardi. I believe it was Bacardi Apple. I'm not quite sure. Back then I was drinking Bacardi all the time, and mainly because of her ass. And so on the side of Maryland where I live from, it's like all country, like a lot of farms and shit, a lot of back roads, not a lot to see. And so we're driving down this road to get back to Salisbury. And so as I'm driving, you know, I'm sipping on the Bacardi. We had 2/5. One was already gone. You know, I'm just sipping on it, you know, like a dumbass. I'm young, 19, whatever. I had a little bit of tint on my windows, so I wasn't sure that anyone could see me. And so I see a car kind of like creeping up on the side of me. You know, I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I'm still driving. This car's like following me for about maybe 2 or 3 miles, and he rolls down his window and he's like, pull over. So I was like, what the hell? Pull over. And I was like, fuck this nigga. So you know, I'm still going, doing my thing, drinking, you know, kicking back. You know, we fucking around the car, and then sooner or later, fucking state police come up on me. They pull my ass over. And so the dude's like, hey, the guy that was telling me to pull over was an undercover cop. And so, like, we pull over and he's talking to me. He's like, hey, man, what's going on? You were swerving? I was like, nah, I wasn't fucking swerving. I know I wasn't swerving because I had just started drinking, like, not that long ago. He was like, yo, what's going on? You were swerving and shit? And I was like, nah, man. He was like, yo, just tell me the truth. I was like, nah. And he's like, you been drinking, driving? I was like, nah. So, but before they pulled me over, I hid all the alcohol. The empty bottle, I hid that shit under the seat. First, I poured all the alcohol on the floor, and then I put the empty bottle under the seat, and then the full bottle, I just left that shit in the back seat. And so, you know, the cop that, the undercover that was trying to pull me over, he was actually off duty in his fucking personal vehicle. And so he's a black guy, and he's like, hey man, what are you doing down here? You know, there's not a lot of fucking black folk in this town, and you with this white girl. He was like, what was she doing? Was she sucking your dick? And I was like, yo, what the hell? Excuse me? Can you be a little bit more professional? You know, I'm 19, I'm like laughing and joking, a little bit scared, because I was drinking. And he's like, hey, was she sucking your dick? You can be truthful with me. And I was like, no, she wasn't. I was like, we were just playing around, but I wasn't swerving. And so anyway, the state police officer, he does a field sobriety test on both of us. So, you know, I pass everything, flying colors, whatever, you know, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm Gucci. Then my man's like, hey, we're gonna do a breathalyzer. So I'm like, shit, I'm cool. And for some reason, I kept fucking burping. I thought that would help. I was like, yeah, let me keep burping. That might help me. But little did I know at the time, burping gives a higher reading on the breathalyzer because all the alcohol, you like bringing the fumes back up. And so I forget what the fuck I blew, but it was enough to fucking put my ass in the back of the police car. And so I'm underage, and so like they searched my car and shit, and they found the other bottle, and they took it, they confiscated that shit. And they're like, hey, whose bottles of alcohol are these? And I was like, shit, those are her fucking bottles. Cause I didn't fucking buy this shit. So she's looking at me all weird, like, oh my god, I can't believe you didn't take the blame. I was like, bitch, you brought it, so why the fuck would I want to take the blame for your little thick ass? So anyway, they take us down to the station, and when we get there, they're like, they're laughing, joking around and shit. And so we get there, we're like sitting on a little bench, and I'm handcuffed to the little bar, and we're like right beside each other, we're talking. And key thing about the story, at the time, she told me she was 17, about to turn 18. And so when the cop pulls over, he's asking us how old we are. And I'm like, I'm 19. He's like, how old is she? I'm like, she's 17. And then she's looking at the cop, and he's like, oh, I want to hear it from her. And then she's like looking at me all weird and shit. And I'm like, you're 17. And she's like, I'm 16. So mine is fucking blown. My mind is blown at this point. Like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? You've been telling me you were 17 the whole time. This motherfucker had money. She had a car. She was never going to school. I'm thinking like she got like half days and shit. You know when you're like a senior or whatever, you get like those free periods. And so yeah. So that was the mind-blowing moment of the night. Like not getting pulled over, not going to jail, but find out that this little thick motherfucker beside me is 16. I'm 19. I mean, whatever. So we get to the jail, and so we're sitting there, and she's asking me all these questions, like, oh my god, I can't believe you said the alcohol was mine, blah blah blah. And I was like, but you brought it with you, it is yours. And so when we were sitting there, I'm like, hey, officer, can I do another breathalyzer? And he's like laughing, like, yeah. And so I do the breathalyzer, and I pass. And since I passed, he's like, hey, I guess we gotta let you go. And so I signed some forms. I never got, they never did my thumbprint, they never took a mug shot or any of that stuff. So I never got in the system. And so that was just a blessing. But anyway, they let me go. And so like, I'm like, hey, what's gonna happen with her? And they was like, yeah, we gotta call her parents. So they called her parents. They're like, fuck you, you're staying there until tomorrow. And so I'm like, hey, can y'all just release her to me? I'm an adult, I'm 19. And so they're like, yeah, we're gonna release her to you, but you gotta take her straight home. Yeah, okay. By the time all the shit ends and it's over and done with, it's fucking like 3 a.m. So the cops weren't nice enough to give me a ride back to my car. It's fucking cold as balls outside. It's like wintertime in Maryland. And no, it was like almost winter. It was like the end of fall. And so I had to walk like 2 miles back to my fucking car from where they pulled me over. Cold as shit. I didn't have no jacket on. And so I went and got my car, and I came back, and they released her to me. I think she had ended up doing like some kind of class, AA class or something. When you're like underage and you get caught, you gotta do some kind of classes. I think she had ended up doing that shit. I didn't get anything. Needless to say, I didn't take her ass home. We went to my house. We had a long talk. You know, I was like, hey, I can't believe you told me you were 17 and you really weren't. You were 16. I was like, hey, you could have, you know, something could have came out of that or whatever. And Actually, that was the first time I got arrested. And I caught a big break on that one. So, tell me what you think about my story. If you liked it, if you want to hear another story, I'm going to be coming, hitting you guys with more freaking stories in the near future. You know, I've been through plenty of ups, downs, trials, tribulations, problems, whatever, and this is what I have to offer. So, until next time, peace.